Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. And we're here today with special guest, Dr. Lotte Valentin, who's here to share with us her book, Med School After Menopause, The Journey of My Soul. What if a near-death experience gave you signs that the universe was guiding you towards a new path? Well, today's guest is here to share with us just that. So Dr. Lotte Valentin is an author, evidential psychic medium, medical medium, ancestral healer, and international keynote speaker. She is described as an oracle who has the ability to touch the heights and move into the power of the mystic, prophet, and seer. She is the creator of several ancestral healing journeys and meditations, which she produced in collaboration with HemiSync. Dr. Lotte is a faculty member at the Shift Network as well as Humanities Team and teaches with many organizations. Dr. Lotte is also a distinguished member of the National Organization for Medical Intuition. She's also the host of her own podcast, Dr. Lotte, Science with Soul, which is currently ranked in the top 5% globally out of 3 million podcasts. She developed this podcast to help people create a path to healing their own life, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and to bridge the gap between science and soul. So welcome to the show, Dr. Lotte Valentin.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
Well, Dr. Lotte, it is such an honor to have you here and to talk not just about your book, but your journey, which I find so inspiring. What started you on your path?
I had a very unique journey through my own life. So I actually went to Boston University. I was born and raised in Sweden and married an American, moved to the States when I was 21, went to Boston University, graduated in management and computer science, and worked for IBM in Tarrytown, New York as a programmer and systems analyst. Well, my life took a 180-degree turn, or maybe a 360-degree turn. But after I had my third child, I hemorrhaged to death in the ER. And as you can tell, I was a very methodical person. A programmer thinks 30 steps down the line. I had no beliefs in the spirit world, no beliefs in God or in a religion. And I found myself hemorrhaging to death in the ER. And I had hemorrhaged for 2 days, and I went to the ER, got sent home, was sent to the doctor, got sent home. So now I'm in the ER hemorrhaging for the 4th time in 3 days. And I'm thinking, well, hopefully somebody's going to come check on me. And a nurse opened the door, saw how much I had been bleeding. And I could hear that call through the loudspeaker, OBGYN, stat to the ER. And within 30 seconds, this middle-aged physician came running in. They did another exam. And during that exam, I again hemorrhaged. And these were large blood clots. We're talking, softball size, just huge. So the blood loss was just enormous because I had been doing this now for 3 days. And it was at that moment, I tried to tell the doctor, I don't feel too good. And he tipped my table backwards. I could hear the room filling with people. I had a nurse on my right quoting my blood pressure, yelling, 50 over 15, hurry. I mean, your blood pressure at that point doesn't really support a heartbeat. And I have a nurse on my left trying to place an IV, but when you go into shock, your blood vessels collapse. So it's really difficult to get that IV placed, which is why they place an IV sometimes when you go to the ER, even if you don't think you need one, because they don't know what's going to happen to you. So here I am lying on this table, and the atheist that I was at the time, I knew at this point that after that nurse yelled 50 over 15, I felt like I was just falling out of an airplane without a parachute. And I knew shortly after that I was dying. So what do? The atheist that I am, I pray to God to save my life. And I said, I have 3 children under the age of 6. Please save me. They need a mother. And I ended up leaving my body. So here I am floating around in the ER. And my first thought was, how can I be outside my body and still be me? How does this work? Because I had no belief system in place to support this belief. So here I am floating around, and there was no time on the other side. You had access to past, present, and future all at the same time. And then I get sucked back into my body. And then the next morning in the hospital, I hear my sister in law, who had passed away about 2 weeks earlier from cancer. And I can hear her, and she says, everything is going to be okay. And I'm thinking, this is it. I can't tell anyone what's going on because they're going to lock me up in the psych ward, because this was 1992. And then what resulted is I had a blood issue. So I had a blood disease or bone marrow suppression. So I wasn't making enough red blood cells, white blood cells, or platelets. And 2 years as I'm struggling to heal from that, I have another near death experience and leave my body. But this time was very different. And I always joke that they saved me too quickly in the ER. I didn't get the full effect because it's really this second experience that activated my life path, which then led me to go to medical school. And again, I was pulled out of my body, but this time I find myself um, in what I call the mid station, because I had this awareness that you could go higher or lower. As if you go into a skyscraper and push the 50th floor and there's 100 floors, you know there's floors above you and you know there's floors below you. So I'm in this place and I hear the most beautiful music you can't make on the earth plane. And as I'm trying to figure out where this music's coming from, there is this bright white light. And as I turn around into this bright white light, I know that I am with source. I don't care what you call it, but we are connected to this source and we come from this source. We are part of this source and we carry this light within us. And as I'm staring into this beautiful, the brightest, whitest light you can imagine, there is an outline of angels and the music is coming from the angels. But as I'm experiencing this, I'm also completely aware of the fact that I don't believe in angels. So I wasn't coming from a place where I believed in God, I believed in angels, I believed in the spirit world. No, it was quite the opposite. I didn't believe in any of it. And then there were two spirit guides that showed up, and one spirit guide says, "What is she doing here? She has to go back. She can't be here." And I said, "No, no, no, wait a second. God spent 2 years trying to figure out how it's even possible to be outside your body." And I said, "No, how does this work? How can I be outside my body and still be me?" And the spirit guide said, "Well, if I told you, you wouldn't remember." And so there is some kind of mechanism, and I've heard this from other people that have had these experiences. And then it is as if I'm standing on the moon, looking down on the earth, and around the earth, I see this silvery, what I call the silvery glittery fishnet at the time, because this is 1994. Now you can Google grid around the earth and you can see, this grid that's kind of like sparkles at the intersections. And that is what I saw. And the spirit guide said, everything is connected to each other down on earth, and everything on earth is connected up to this grid. Well, with that knowledge, I got sent back to Earth. So, what followed for the next 12 years was I started hearing the spirit world. I knew that things that were going to happen. I knew we were going to be in an accident. I saw two of the kids in my car. I knew when my relatives were sick. And all these different things happened for 12 years. And after 12 years, I had finally learned to trust that when I received these messages, they were trying to tell me. I feel like I was just had my training wheels on my bike. And it took me a really long time to come to terms with it because I kept thinking, this is just a coincidence. But then I learned after 12 years that it wasn't a coincidence. And the spirit world literally dropped in on me and said, you have to become a physician. You have to go to a naturopathic medical school. You are to write 2 books. No, wait, 3. And I've gotten that message about the books from 4 professional mediums, 2 in England and 2 in the United States. And it always comes back the exact same wording from that I received in this original message in 2004. And then they said, you have to bring healing and messages to the people. And so I enrolled in medical school or in the prereqs. Literally within 2 or 3 weeks, I started my prereqs, and we were living in California at the time. And I had to start with high school advanced placement biology because I was a business major as an undergraduate, and I went to high school in Sweden. So I didn't have any of those classes. So I had to start all the way from the beginning with high school advanced placement biology, and then take the biology and the chemistry, organic chemistry and the math and the physics, all the classes. until I finally finished all of that and then applied into med school at the age of 54. So it was a long, crazy journey that took me there. But it was all part, I'm going to say it was all part of that original plan. And then, of course, what I'm doing now is all based on those near death experiences, especially the second one of what the work is that I'm here to do as a physician and as a spiritual worker.
What a remarkable story. And I just have to applaud you because it takes a lot to be a physician, the dedication, the time, the energy that goes into that. But on top of that, you've become a medium and a medical intuitive. For our listeners that are new to that type of work, can you share that with us?
Yeah. So then as I was in med school, I did a lot of meditation. That's how I centered myself going through med school. And I started seeing my patients or know things about my patients before they had even come to the clinic the first time, before I had been assigned that patient as a student physician. I knew things about them that then came out, while I, saw the patient. So as I went through med school, I started having these experiences. And then as soon as I graduated, it became even more. I have a new patient walking through the door, and the spirit world's literally saying, well, this patient has this condition. And they came in for something completely different. And then I would start say, oh, why don't we do some testing on this too, because you're here. Right. And it was fascinating because we are all so intuitive. Like everybody has this intuition. We have all had intuition about, oh, I shouldn't take that road and then there's an accident there, or I shouldn't go to that party and something happens, right? We all have intuition, and it's just a matter of fine tuning it. So as soon as I graduated from med school, I went to Arthur Findlay College in England, which is a renowned college for psychic sciences. And I learned to hone this skill because I was just getting messages, right? Random messages. But how do I tune into that so that I can help one specific person? Because sometimes I would get messages and sometimes I wouldn't. Well, so then I trained as a medium, and a medium is somebody who can connect with the spirit world and bring messages from loved ones that have transitioned over to the other side. But also as a medical medium or a medical intuitive, I work a lot with people that fall through the cracks in our medical system, and they find me, they hear me on a podcast, and sometimes they come to, just pick my brain. And sometimes they'll say, I have all these allergies and I can't get a handle on it and I can't figure out what it is I'm allergic to. And then the spirit world tells me, no, that's not the issue. The issue is this. They have this underlying chronic condition, and that's what's driving the allergies. And then sure enough, that will be exactly what's happening. So it's a very fascinating combination of the merging of my medical knowledge with my spiritual abilities. But now I understand that's really what they told me back in 2004 when they said you are to bring messages and healing to the people. And when you work as a medium, you are bringing messages from the spirit world to the person. So it is a fascinating, line of business that I'm in, because it's a combination of traditional Western medicine with this tuning in spiritually to the person or intuitively.
Well, on that note, we're going to pause here for a quick break. We've been speaking with Dr. Lotte Valentin in regards to her book, Med School After Menopause, The Journey of My Soul. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Are you an author, speaker, or expert who is looking for more publicity? Visit radioguestlist.com and sign up for free interview requests from shows looking for guests. Radio Guest List is the #1 free booking resource for radio, podcasts, and TV talk shows who are looking for experts like you right now. Visit radioguestlist.com and sign up today to get the visibility you deserve.
There comes a moment when you realize you're somewhere special. When you discover that each beautiful creature that you see has been rescued from a life of absolute horror and brought to this incredibly free place. Here's where their lives were forever changed, and where yours will as well. Discover over 500 tigers, bears, and lions at the brand new visitor center at the Wild Animal Sanctuary just outside Denver. For more information, visit wildanimalsanctuary.org. Discover true freedom at the Wild Animal Sanctuary.
It's one thing to become attached to your perfect home, but what do you do when that home becomes attached to you? A family in dire need of a fresh start, a mysterious house tied to the past. Buried deep within the foundation of the old Far Hill Manor lies a centuries-old secret. Dark forces or something stronger just waiting to be discovered. Caretaker, a supernatural thriller by breakout authors R.J. Halpert.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
I'd like to thank Jason Eastwood at Guitarfulness for sharing his inspiring music and talent with us. His music is known worldwide for cultivating atmospheres of harmony, inner peace, and clarity. Visit Jason's website at guitarfulness.com. Join his newsletter, be part of his community, and download his music. Welcome back to Moments with Marianne. We're here today with special guest, Dr. Lotte Valentin, who's sharing with us her book, Med School After Menopause, The Journey of My Soul. Well, there's something else I'd like to cover that I know that you do, and it's ancestral healing. And I know right now so many people are talking about uncovering their generational wounds and looking to heal those. Can you share what that process looks like and how that's something that we can actually be actively involved in?
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. So the things that our ancestors do, the things that they do wrong mostly, right, is the trauma they experience gets passed down to the next generation, whether you like it or not. So it's not like, people say, oh my gosh, my family has at least 50 problems. I came from this very dysfunctional family. Don't worry. You didn't take all of those 50 issues, but you probably took some of them. Maybe you are carrying 3 or 4 of those issues. But what we see is the repetition of the patterns through generations. And I actually got into ancestral healing by doing mediumship readings for people. And I would see the generational patterns get passed down through the generations. And I would say, I see your grandmother and your grandfather was abusive towards her. And I can see that she had 3 children and one of those children was your mother. But your mother grew up and she married somebody who was abusive and your father abused you, just like your mother was abused by her father. And you can see the patterns get passed down. And so it was through my mediumship abilities that led me to study ancestral healing, which is a form of counseling. And there's actually research on this. And there's a great research study called Epigenetic Inheritance of Ancestral Odor Fear Conditioning, which was published back in 2013 in Nature of Neuroscience. That is probably our best evidence yet of how this intergenerational trauma gets passed from one generation to the next.
It's just so fascinating how that happens. But it's interesting. A lot of people now are really talking about this because you can see the generational lineage of different things that are going on with the family that just get carried down.
Oh, yeah. I see things sometimes like through 5 generations. They'll say, my great-grandmother, my grandmother, my mom, myself, and my daughter have all been left by our husbands through death or divorce and left to raise our children on our own. These are the things you see with these patterns. And it's just a matter of figuring out, what is it? Who carries that pattern? Who is the originator of the pattern? And once you understand and see it, Then I take the people on what I call the guided meditation shamanic journey, where I call in the spirit world and we release these wounds and these struggles, and we send healing to our ancestors as well as forward in time to all the people that come after us. So it's a kind of like a spiritual healing that takes place after I work with someone on their generational wounds.
So you have this unique ability to connect with people's spirit guides, and I understand you even do a little sketch in real time of what you're seeing. Can you share with us what that looks like? Because I'm sure so many people are very interested in that.
Yeah, it's a really fun session. So I get a lot of people that say, what is my soul's purpose? Why am I here? Or I'm at a crossroads and I can't figure out what I'm supposed to do next. And I call in the spirit guide. It takes me about 5 minutes to call in the spirit guide and then do a quick sketch of what it is that I see. Because I'm mostly clairvoyant. Now I'm clairvoyant, clairaudient, and clairsentient, meaning I see, I hear, and I feel. But most of my work comes through clairvoyance, meaning I see things. So I see the spirit guide. And once I see the spirit guide, I start knowing things about the client because the client is a reflection of their spirit guide. Now we have a whole team of spirit guides, but the one that comes in is typically the main spirit guide. And it's that main spirit guide that helps us on our path of what we're here to do in this life. And it's absolutely fascinating. Um, I have had people tell me that, after I do this, they say, I had a near death experience and I met this spirit guide during my near death experience. Or I have always known that this spirit guide is with me. It's a Native American Indian, or it's an Indian per Southwest, Southeast Indian person, or it's a monk, or whoever it is. And it's fascinating when people tell me then, I have seen the spirit guide or I'm aware of the spirit guide. It's such an incredible confirmation of the work and how intertwined we are with the spirit world. We are definitely not alone. We are walking this path and we are supported by the spirit world and our spirit guides in everything that we do every day.
That probably provides a lot of encouragement for people to know maybe they're alone, but you really aren't.
Yes, absolutely. You are. We think we're alone. That I'm going to say that is an illusion. It's an illusion that we think that we're alone because that is how we experience the world when we have our body suit on, so to speak, right? Because our spirit, our soul lives in this suit, our body suit while we're here, so we can have these earthly experiences and then allow our soul to grow. So it's fascinating. It's fascinating work. I love doing all these different sessions because it helps people in many different ways, whatever it is that people need help with. Because my job here on earth, I'm here as a healer and try to help people heal, physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
So I know we've kind of touched on this a little bit. Your award-winning book, Med School After Menopause: The Journey of My Soul. Can you share a little bit about the book? I think so many people would be interested because you have such a profound story.
Yeah, so I wrote that book in 2018. And it was the time that I felt that I really needed to get this message out to people because we are incredible creatures that are living here on the planet Earth. We have so much intuition and so much spiritual powers within ourselves. And by sharing my own journey and many of my own paranormal experiences through life, I hope to help other people step into their own power. And it's never too late to transform your life. And so that is really the message, is to help people transform their life by tuning into their own intuitive and mediumistic abilities.
I know there's so many people that are interested in developing those abilities, so it's so nice to have somebody that you can reach out to and connect to about that. For those that are interested in working with you, what are the different ways they can connect with you?
I'm going to say the best way is probably to go to my website, drlotte.com. So it says drlotte.com. You can find my podcast that airs on all different platforms. And also make sure you sign up for my newsletter because that is how you stay up to date on all the different upcoming events and what's going on and different courses I'm teaching. So I'm currently teaching for the Shift Network an in-depth course on the ancestral healing.
Well, Dr. Lotte, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. My pleasure.
Well, thank you, Dr. Lotte. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your book, Med School After Menopause, The Journey of My Soul. Med School After Menopause is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and everywhere books are sold. And remember, support our indie bookstores. If you don't see it on the shelf, just ask for them to order it. You can also learn more at Dr. Lotte's website at drlotte.com for more information on her work and, of course, her show. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.